Governor-elect Evers has said corrections reform will be a key goal of his administration. The state already spends big money on the Wisconsin prison system, and both the number of inmates and the costs of keeping them in prison are rising. In 2017, Wisconsin had a record 23,687 inmates. In 2021, that number is expected to climb to 25,000. It costs around $1 billion a year to run corrections, and the Department of Corrections asked for $150 million more in the next budget. We're looking at the possibility of corrections reform, adult corrections reform, with two state lawmakers working on it. Republican Representative Michael Shaw of Oshkosh and Democratic Representative Evan Goyke of Milwaukee. Gentlemen, good to have you on the program today. The governor-elect, soon-to-be governor, Evers, has said that adult corrections reform is something that has come up at listening sessions all around the state. Representative Shaw, I'll begin with you. What's possible on this front? He's talked about perhaps reducing the prison population by as much as 50%. Is that a starting point, or is that even on the table?
In my opinion, I don't think that's a realistic goal.
It's a non-starter.
Right. But I think there's other things that, with Evan and I, the way that we worked on juvenile corrections so well together, I think that there are a lot of other areas that that we can really, attack this issue and have it done in a bipartisan manner.
What's possible as far as you're concerned, Representative Goyke?
Well, I think this isn't as complicated as people might make it. You have to reduce the number of people being sent into the system and increase the number of people getting out of the system. And if we just identify some low-hanging fruit reforms that other states have done, I think we can plateau the population, stop it from growing, and then start to reduce it. Our neighbor in Michigan, under a Republican governor and Republican legislature, passed reforms a few years ago, and their prison population is down 23%. So it's not 50, but it's a start, and they're starting to save big money.
So, Representative Shaw, give me an example. What's low-hanging fruit? What could be done that would reduce the prison population from your perspective?
Well, I don't know that we're necessarily going to get rid of truth in sentencing. Obvious some sentencing reform issues, but I think supervision reform. There are a lot of areas. There are a lot of rules that, for public safety that are there. But there are so many times that, a small issue is violated, and these individuals go back to prison.
Give me a sense. This is a politically charged issue. We even saw during the last gubernatorial campaign, there were concerns that violent offenders would be out on the streets if we moved in this direction. How do you address those concerns, Representative Goyke, when they're brought to your attention?
Sure. I mean, I think once individuals see the details of the policies that we'll be discussing and advocating for, this is not just opening up prison cells and letting people out. These are going to be reforms based on earning second chances, or like Representative Shaw just mentioned, tackling people that have only committed a rules violation and focusing on treatment over incarceration. So it's not that we're going to have no response. It's not that we're saying there's no intervention for problematic behavior. It's just a measured response, and that incarceration isn't always the best, and the recognition that it is always the most expensive. And so if we get a substantial return on investment based on treatment over incarceration, we should promote that and improve access to those programs. And the Department of Corrections needs more options for people on supervision. They don't have enough resources at their disposal and enough options to put people into those programs rather than incarceration. So those are some areas I think we're going to.
We've increased TAD funding quite a bit, treatment and diversion funding, and I think we could increase that even more. I think the effectiveness of treatment and diversion is a lot more economical than sending somebody to prison for 10, 15, 20 years.
How hard a sell is this to your Republican colleagues, Representative?
I think there are a group of my colleagues on my side of the aisle that understand the issues, that understand that Texas and Georgia and South Carolina, some of the states that were, tough on crime, are coming around and where they're actually closing prisons and reducing the prison population and saving the state massive amounts of money. So there are a handful.
It's a fiscal argument that you can make on this.
Right. I think in the last legislative session, there are a handful of my colleagues on my side of the aisle where some of the crime that was seeping out from the city of Milwaukee into the suburbs, I think it was concerning for a number of those colleagues, and a few of them came up with legislation that actually would increase our prison population quite significantly. I just think that it's finding a happy median somewhere in there. And, those conversations have started. I think they saw what we did with juvenile corrections. I don't think anybody really thought that we'd be able to get that done in as short a period of time as we did, and we passed that bill, unanimously.
How optimistic are you, Representative Goyke, that this can happen in the next year or so?
I'm incredibly optimistic.
Really?
I give great credit to Governor Evers for not wavering on his commitment to the issue through the campaign. Representative Shaw just mentioned the bill that we did together on Lincoln Hills. If we could get that done, I think we can get anything done. And to your earlier question about public safety, a number of states have taken correction savings and put them towards public safety. So whether that's additional cops to walk the neighborhood beat or prosecutors in the courtroom, there are ways to take dollars that we spend on prisons and divert them or reinvest them in ways that make us safer.
I'm going to take a break. You had mentioned, Representative Shaw, juvenile corrections reform and legislation the two of you put together. We'll talk a little bit about that, the progress being made at Lincoln Hills and how we handle juvenile offenders. We'll continue on Upfront in just a moment.